This is County Executive Steve Shue. You're listening to the Maryland Crabs Podcast.
Live from a grungy kitchen table located in Annapolis, Maryland's scenic and historic capital, it's the Maryland Crabs Podcast. With each episode, your hosts, Tim Hamilton, John Fernay, and the occasional guest will dive in and pick apart the stuff that really matters most to you. We're too lazy to actually solve any of these problems, but we can definitely stir the pot. From schools, politics, parking in the fire lane, to those horrible people who drive BMWs. And here with this week's episode, live from the kitchen table, Tim Hamilton and John Fernay.
It's the Maryland Crab, singular. Just one crab, one lonely crab. I feel like you guys are kind of like the kids in the middle of a divorce where your parents are just never around together anymore. You just kind of go off on day trips with one or the other, that special kind of lunch, or maybe out to get ice cream because they want to make you feel better. Because we know you guys are hurting, and it's not you guys, it's us. It's our problem we have to work through. Actually, it's not. I've had a really slammed schedule, some family emergencies for the last couple months, and John has done a phenomenal job with filling in. I don't want to compliment him too much because then he gets all cocky about it, so it's just between us, but he is doing a killer job. He's been handling a lot of the podcast recordings, or almost all of them, on his own. He's been doing a ton of crab cakes, plus he's been doing his I in Annapolis Daily Briefing, which you have to subscribe to because it really is good. And then he did a great job with the film festival. I don't know if you went to it last week or if you were plugged into it, but it's the 6th annual Annapolis Film Festival, and it was a phenomenal time. It was absolutely incredible, and John did a great job. He went to all the films, he went to all the events, he recorded a lot of interviews, a lot of crab cakes with some of the directors, some of the producers, and he really just did an amazing job. So if you haven't heard those, go back and listen to them. They really are good, and again, some of the movies were just absolutely fantastic. So you want to go to their website because they have an excellent website. You can go to I in Annapolis where he did a breakdown, and then of course go and listen to some of the crab cakes that John, I almost said we, but I had nothing to do with it, that John did. But in the meantime, you can go to Facebook where we have a page and we have a group. Join both of those. We're also on Twitter at MD Crabs Podcast. You want to follow us on Twitter? Maybe we'll follow you back. We'll see what mood we're in. We're on YouTube. And then you also want to find us on Apple Podcasts and Google Play, where you want to go and you want to find our podcast and then anyone else's podcast, like the Annapolis Podcast, and you can find More Power to You by Josh Cohen. But you want to subscribe to those, and you also want to give a rating and you want to give a review. So do all those things. And also you find us on Amazon Echo. It's an amazing device that can let us into your room and you listen to us while you shower, which is sexy as heck. So that's all that out of the way. So here's how the podcast works generally, is John does all the work. And he'll call me because he does the booking, and he'll say, hey, we're going to meet this person at this time, just show up and bring an extra mic. So I will show up eventually, maybe on time, usually not. We'll do the interview, but I do all the editing. So John's been handling the heavy lifting for this stuff for the last few weeks, and he calls me the other day, and he goes, hey, I've got a podcast. You won't be able to make it, but I need you to edit it. I said, that's fine. And I said, what is it? And he goes, well, I'm going to interview the CEO of Anne Arundel County Library, Skip Auld. And I said, okay. So I'm going to miss out on the library podcast. I'm heartbroken. And I thought it was going to be Dullsville Population John. And when I edited it, I got to be honest with you, it was pretty awesome. I thought it was going to be dry and dull because how exciting can the Dewey Decimal System be? It turns out they do a lot of incredibly amazing things, and I didn't want to admit it to John, and I haven't admitted it to John. But it was a killer interview, and it was a killer podcast, and I am astounded at how much the library does. And Skip Auld seems like a really sharp guy, and what he's really done with the library and the new construction they have going on. It's a really good interview. John gets a lot of credit for it. So sit back, relax, listen to the dulcet tones of John with Skip Auld, who is the Anne Arundel County Library Executive Director.
Hi, this is Randy.
And Claudia Boldiga. Please join us and our presenting sponsor, RXNT, on Saturday, April 28th on AAMC's South Campus for Denim and Diamonds Bash. Proceeds will benefit mental health and addiction services in our community. Now more than ever, we need to focus on this critical need.
The bash sold out last year, so don't delay and join us for this fabulous night under the stars. Can't make the party? You can still help by purchasing a raffle ticket.
This year's raffle is a stunning 4-piece amethyst jewelry collection donated by Cezanne Jewelers, valued at $5,000. Only 100 tickets will be sold for the raffle, so don't miss out. For event or raffle tickets, go to aamcdenimanddiamonds.org.
Thanks for your support of Anne Arundel Medical Center's efforts to improve the availability of mental health and addiction services throughout our community.
Remember, it's not just a party, it's a party with a purpose.
When you're a community bank, you help your community however you can. Like being there for local business people, backing them up when they start up, advising them when they ask, standing by them so they can grow. Helping local businesses is one of the most important things we do at Severn Bank. I'm Alan Hyatt, chairman of the bank, but I'm also a proud supporter of businesses in Anne Arundel County. You know we never forget that here at the bank, we're a local business too. We face the same challenges and opportunities as any business, and we know how fortunate we are to have customers who stand beside us. That's why we stand beside you. If you have a business or you want to start a business, talk with us, because we're banking on you. Severn Bank, here with you.
Online at severnbank.com. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender. Severn Bank is a trade name used by Severn Savings Bank.
All right, we are here this morning at the Commons again, and we are fortunate enough to have Skip Auld, who may or may not be a familiar name to most people, but certainly what you run is familiar to everybody, and you are the CEO of the Anne Arundel County Public Library System, right?
That's right, John. Yes, I've been here since 2007. I moved here from Durham, North Carolina back in, 2010. That is. And it's been great. We've been doing a lot of great things, and we're on the cusp of doing some amazing things with the library system. Yeah.
Are you a librarian by trade?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I started as a clerk typist working at the Duke University Library. Go Duke. I'm sure everybody loves to hear that.
Okay, well, we're done now. Okay, so...
I get that reaction a lot out here.
Well, but you come down here and tell them you're a Steelers fan, it's like...
So I started as a typist at the Duke University Library in the mid-'70s. Met my wife at Duke University Library.
Okay.
And at any rate, decided to go to library school, got my master's in library science, and worked in Charlotte. I worked over in Carroll County, Maryland as a branch manager, worked down in the Richmond area in Chesterfield. And then I became library director in Durham and moved from that position here. So, we were in the middle of the recession back in 2010, and our staff were dealing with a pay cut. They were dealing with a 5% pay cut for a couple of years.
Now, this is the staff here in Anne Arundel?
This is in Anne Arundel. Things were in really rough shape at that time, and since then we've been able to do a number of things. Probably the biggest is that we're going to be opening a new Annapolis library. So we're the existing library, the one people have loved since 1965. It's in its last few weeks and days. We're going to close it down March 31st, do a demolition of that building and rebuild on site. That is going to be a new, amazing new library.
So March 31st is the date?
That's the date, yes. I think that's a Saturday, and we'll be working till the end of the business day that Saturday. We're trying to see if we can work out some sort of a goodbye party in the few weeks after that. We haven't worked the details out on that, but we're thinking about that. And actually, you're hearing that first right here.
That'd be cool. There was a high school from outside of Pennsylvania that was renovating, and they were demolishing it. And what they did is they went to the alumni and they said, we have jackhammers, sledgehammers, and saws. Come on in and exact your revenge on your school. And they came and they were like, they raised $100,000. People's like, oh yeah, I'm going to take this and hammer the window out. And
I don't know if we can do that,
right?
But it sounds like a lot of fun.
Get your frustrations out. But but no, the Annapolis Library is a little bit controversial in where it was going to be located. At one point, we thought it was going to be rebuilt in the same location, which is what it is. Mm-hmm. At one point, we were over in sort of toward Parole a little bit more.
Well, we never really had another site. We looked all over the place. We worked with a local architectural firm to identify sites. We identified maybe 15 possibilities of other places. But in the end, as the signs said, West is best. And we're very happy to be there. It's 1410 West Street, and there's a lot of great reasons to be there, and the way this library is going to be built, being able to preserve a lot of the natural setting, the whole way it's going to be placed on the site, it'll be closer to the street. Right now it's about 100 feet back.
Right.
It'll be something like 40 feet from the street. Mm-hmm. You'll enter from the right side and park around back instead of from the left side like you do now, but there'll be a lot of light. There's going to be, there's so many improvements on what we have there. Now, this has been a well-loved library. I mean, generations have
Well, it certainly
there.
does. I mean, you've got those two communities that sit right behind you in your backyard, essentially, that use that a lot. You've got the Poplar Trail that runs back there that's gives you access there. And that was a little bit of a compromise, if you will, on size-wise. I think the library wanted to do a little bit larger.
Well, that was part of the reason we were looking to move to another site. We actually wanted it to, in the facility study that we did in that first year that I was here determined what we needed in terms of overall size. We've redone that study, working with the SHU administration. We were able to do a new facility study. So we're kind of resizing and basing things a lot more on what we ended up with at Annapolis. It originally was proposed and funded to be 65,000 square feet. It's going to be half that size, 32,500 square feet. But it's going to accommodate most everything that we wanted. It's going to have a large meeting room dividable into two. So that'll accommodate much bigger meetings and programs and that kind of thing than we've ever been able to have. It'll have several, I think it's about 6 or 7 smaller spaces that can be used for study groups or tutoring or after-school groups, business meetings, all of that kind of thing. It's going to have a tech zone, so that kind of ties in with all the STEM work that we do.
Is that a first for the county?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we're in the process of building what we call an innovation lab at the Odenton Library, partly through a state grant and partly through funding of our foundation and that kind of thing. But really, the tech zone at Annapolis is very intentionally built to be that. We're kind of having to retrofit over at Odenton. Now, the Odenton Innovation Lab will be great, but there's going to be a great teen space in this library. There'll be a lot of really nice places to sit in the building and look out at at nature, really. And then over at in the children's area, you'll be able to go outside to an enclosed area, but it'll be an outdoor enclosed area, kind of bringing nature into the library. Yeah, it's going to be great.
This is totally not the sit down, be quiet that I remember growing up. Are there card catalogs there? Is the Dewey Decimal System alive and well?
Well, Dewey Decimal System is very much alive and well. But
the index cards that support it?
The index cards have been long gone, decades gone. No, it's all done electronically. But yeah, we work with that system. And that's great because that's what helps us organize everything and keep it. By the way, it's not a shush kind of library, but it is. There are going to be quiet spaces there. There's going to be a quiet room. There will be a Maryland room that'll house the Gold Star collection. So there will be places, essentially from the children's side, which is when you walk in, you turn right, you get to the children's side. That's kind of the louder part of the library. But if you turn, if you turn left, you're going to go over to more the quiet side of the library. The far left side is the side that will be closest to West Street. And so you'd be looking out at West Street and seeing the cars go by, but from a relatively quiet kind of area.
Okay, library's closing down. You're going to bring a bulldozer in on the 31st.
Yeah, or sledgehammers.
And everybody turns around and has no place to go to the library, right?
Well, no, that's not. No, we're definitely going to have a place to go. So thanks to the funding of the county executive and county council, we have a temporary library that will be at Monarch Academy, which is in the old Capitol Gazette building off Gibraltar Avenue. So that'll be open from 9 to 5 Monday to Friday. We'll have a book collection, CDs, DVDs. We'll have early literacy classes.
Is that what, on the basement?
No, not in the basement. That's where
Big was.
That's where Big used to be for the book sales and everything. Now, this is, if you come in on the far left side is where the main entrance to the school is. We have a separate entrance that's on the right side, but it's at that same upper level.
Okay.
So it'll be nice. We was over there the other day. We're getting it all fitted out. The Annapolis staff are really looking forward to that. Gloria Harberts is manager of this library, of Annapolis Library. So she'll be working there primarily, as well as out in the community. The other thing to keep in mind is there's a lot of groups that we work with. So this is giving the Annapolis staff an opportunity to get out and really be in the community more with boys and girls clubs, I don't know, school groups, all kinds of things.
That was one of my curiosities. Is that I know that you've got Seeds for Success, which is down in Eastport, which is a good program. And also there's a program in Annapolis called STARE, which is, I don't know what the acronym stands for, but it's they do great reading stuff. I know they were at Barnes & Noble last week welcoming people and encouraging people to read.
Well, so there's a lot of things like that are happening. So that one at the Monarch Academy Library will open at 11 a.m. on Monday, April 16th. So we're going to have a grand opening celebration at that time. The other really exciting new library that we're going to put in is called Discoveries, the library at the mall. So this builds on the partnership we've had with Westfield Mall. We worked on this for about a year before we could even get it all worked out, but the foundation is generously funding the build-out of that space. So and
is that I know it's over by where the Lord & Taylor is, which is getting ready to close, but is it a true storefront?
Oh, yeah, absolutely, yeah. It's next to Crate & Barrel, across from Under Armour. We're taking over a space that was used for, I'm not quite sure what was there before. The store that immediately was there the past 6 or 8 months is called A Touch of Fancy, but it's 3,000 square feet of space. It'll be different from the Monarch Library, which is temporary, and we're hoping Discoveries will be permanent, but we're going to have to see how it works, and then we're going to have to seek funding to really be able to maintain it long term. But that library will be open from 10 a.m. till 9 p.m. on Monday through Thursday, and then 10 to 5 on Friday, Saturday.
It's just sort of a mini satellite branch, if you will.
It's a branch. I don't think of it as mini, though, in any way. So the Westfield Library, what we call Discoveries, it's going to have a lot of new things, and it'll be introducing the library to a whole group of people who maybe haven't thought about using the library, but we'll have one of our 3D printers there. We'll have the automated checkout through self-check using your phone app. We have an app that you can do that. We will have good programs, both early literacy, but really programs for all ages. We'll have a collection of materials. We'll have comfortable seating. There's really a lot of things that'll happen at Discoveries. It gives us an opportunity to do programming in a way we haven't before. We also can go out into, there's kind of a common open area. So if we have a program that's for 100 or 200 people, we can really spill out of the library and make that kind of thing happen.
Right. Well, I know you had a big presence around the holidays in the library, or the library in the mall as well. And I think that libraries, I guess, almost by definition, are destinations. And when you get in the mall now, it's not necessarily, it can be a destination, but now you've got this whole group of people that are walking by it out of Under Armour, walking next to Crate & Barrel, able to see the stuff that's offered in the mall.
I think a lot of people are going to see it and want to come in and explore and rediscover the library, because probably just about everyone has used the library, and some people are at a time in their life where they're not using it as much, but this will give people a chance to see, just to discover what is going on with modern libraries, because modern libraries are quite a bit different.
Well, that's another thing that I did want to talk about. I know, and I'm constantly amazed at the different stuff that I get through Ion Annapolis with what's available at the library. Despite the invitation I had to come see a 3D printer, I still have not been able to wrap my head around it, and it's probably because somebody decided to call it a printer, because I don't consider it a printer. It's like a creator or something. Yeah,
it's like a model maker or something like that. There's
it's a big fancy Play-Doh machine. You put the stuff in and it comes out as a shape.
So one of our trustees was talking with me about, and I think she's been able to work this out. She had a broken part of a bathroom towel rack kind of thing that she needed to get fixed, and she couldn't find the part, but she could take there's like two pieces of it that hold sort of a rod.
Right.
She could take one of them off, bring it in, have it modeled, and work out a way to make the other part and be able to replace a spare part kind of in her bathroom.
It's phenomenal what 3D printing can do. But I mean, just some of the stuff I've seen over the years. You've got, 3D printing. Obviously, you've got CDs, DVDs, magazine, newspapers, and books. You've got computers that are free to everybody to use, that if they need to get internet access.
All of these things are definitely
fishing rods.
Oh yeah. You can borrow fishing poles from the Mountain Road Library. That's been an interesting new service we've had. So yeah, I think the first person who borrowed one of those was a father and son who were trying to get a fishing merit badge in scouting, and they checked out a fishing pole. They didn't want to go out and buy one, so they were able to check that out. So speaking of DVDs and movies, we have a new service you can get to through our website called Kanopy, which is 30,000 movies that are available. So, obviously there's many ways to get streaming movies from Amazon or, just all kinds of places. Kanopy, it gets you to a whole lot of classic films and independent films, foreign films, and all that kind of thing. So that's one of the things you can get from our website. It's fairly new.
Well, I know you also have Linda. Is it My Linda or Linda?
Lynda.com, yeah.
Which are essentially classes and certifications on pretty much anything. I mean, if you want to learn how to code, if you want to learn how to record a podcast or change your oil in your car, I guess.
Yeah, just there's all kinds of things you can get through lynda.com, and I know a lot of people subscribe to it. I think it's maybe $20 or $30 a month to subscribe. It's available free with your library card. So a lot of times people don't realize that. Going over to the student side of things, we have something that's called Brainfuse, which is a homework help tutoring service. It's available every day of the year, 365 days, starting at 2 p.m. up until midnight. Anybody from kindergarten all the way through community college can get assistance from a trained tutor. So that's a pretty awesome kind of thing.
And this is, again, a service that you've contracted with, presumably.
Yeah.
The tutors are not local.
They're not local, but they are certified teachers.
Sure.
And that kind of thing. So if you need help with studying a language, and speaking of languages, you can get to Rosetta Stone on our website. So it's really kind of an amazing thing that you have with your public library. I just recommend people go to aacpl.net and just take a look, just explore on the website. There really are a tremendous breadth and depth of kinds of things people can get to.
Well, I know there was one thing that someone had told me about, and I've not had a chance to explore it yet, but there is, and it's only available in the library on the system, but for grants and scholarships.
Right.
For presumably businesses, nonprofits, as well as students.
Right.
To help you. I mean, you've got plenty of services that will send you scholarships for kids, and as a dad that's got the third one almost out of school,
congratulations.
I certainly can appreciate that. But the wealth of stuff that's there, and you've got virtual reality.
Yes. Let me back up a second to the grants, though, because the Foundation Information Network is something that's been based for many years now at the Annapolis Library. We've moved it down to the Edgewater Library, but we have classes for people, helping them learn how to find grants. It's really the Foundation Center has created this network. Our staff are highly trained on working with people to help them track down grants. If they're individuals, if they are nonprofits, there's so many nonprofit organizations in our county and in the city of Annapolis, and that just is really valuable. So for this next 18 to 24 months, while the library at Annapolis is closed, it'll be down at Edgewater.
Again, just think, you mentioned an app too, so we can now, and it's been a while since I have checked out a book from the library because I learned my lesson the last time I did it. I'm good at checking them out. I'm not the best at checking them back in.
We even can send you emails notifying you, but I hate to say it. I get those emails, and I check out quite a lot of stuff. But I'll get my email saying this is going to be due in 2 days, and I'll say, I need to renew that. And you can renew it easily.
I know. It's it's one of those crazy things that I've got this mental block on, and usually I end up bringing them back, and it's like, okay, well, thank you very much. That'll be $50.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Well, I did pay $4.10 about a week ago. I thought I only owed $3.60, but my fines.
They don't cut you a break, do they?
Oh no, not at all.
No.
Not at all.
There's no employee discount or anything on that.
No. We've had some demand. I would call it demand. We've had some interest on the part of our employees in having that kind of a discount.
Right.
But no, our trustees, our staff, we pay just the way our customers pay.
Now, the app, I can get a book off the shelf and check it out, or I will be able to?
You're talking about the self-checkout app. Yeah. Actually, you can put the app, and I've done this. You put the app on your phone. It takes basically a minute or two. You can get a staff member to show you how to do it. It's pretty easy. But with the app, you then scan the barcode. because what you do is you load your library card information into the app. So we know that that's you, and you've got your card and everything. And then you just go to the shelf, you pick out what you want. It can be DVDs, CDs, books, anything that we have. You then scan it yourself instead of taking it to the circulation desk. And you just walk out the door with it. So it's a pretty cool kind of thing.
The Apple Store has the Apple app where you can buy stuff in the store and just sort of scan it with your phone, and it's connected to your credit card and everything else.
Yeah, I think Apple got that from us.
Probably. I don't know. Every time I use it, I feel like I'm shoplifting, though.
Yeah.
It's like, I'll take this. Okay.
Yeah, and then walk
out the door.
Yeah.
The receipts emailed to me and everything else. But, okay, how does the library get its funding? I mean, you are a department of the county.
We are not a department of the county, no. But we get our funding, most of our funding from the county and a good chunk from the state. And then we get funding from those overdue fees that you pay. So please pay us $50 every now and then. We like that. We also get funding. We get funding for extras from our foundation. And I want to talk about the foundation in a minute. But our budget is right around $24 million. Of that, about $19 or $20 million comes from the county. So just like the Board of Education or the community college, we go to the county every year. We seek funding. We beg. Yes. I'm the beggar in chief. At least I've been known to be called that. So the county has been a great partner for us. We County Executive Shue, prior to him, County Executive Newman, and even before that, all the county executives have been supportive, and county council. Their constituents know that we're one of the highly valued services. So that's great, and the county is solid. The state of Maryland also provides about $2 million to us each year. That's tremendously valuable, and we also are, you said you wondered if we were a department of the county. We're not, and that's a good thing. The state of Maryland in the 1940s set up the public library system so that public libraries are governed independently. So our Board of Trustees is really the governing body for us. So that's kind of how we work. And I mentioned the overdue fines. That comes to about $500,000 or $750,000 a year. We also have some revenue from meeting room use where we charge for-profit organizations and a variety of other things. The foundation has allowed us to open the new library at the mall, Discoveries. Mm-hmm. It has given us things like smart tables at the Eastport Library in Annapolis. It has funded discovery docks at practically all of our libraries. The plan is to fund them at all of the libraries. It has just done tremendous things for the library. So we are in the middle of a capital, or let's call it a major asset building campaign. We've raised about almost $1.5 million in this foundation in cash and pledges. We've raised almost $500,000 in planned gifts. And the goal is to get that all to $3 million. So this is the first time we've ever done this. The foundation was created in 2007 under my predecessor, Marion Francis, and it has taken on a really strong positive life. We have a separate foundation board of directors that manages and runs the foundation or governs the foundation. So that's been a tremendous thing. And I just want to put out there for your listeners that we're going to have a great event at the Eastport Library on April 20th. It's the 5th annual event called For the Love of the Library. Tickets are $50. You can buy tickets right on our website, which is aacpl.net. In addition to being together with about 200 or 300 people who just love the library, you're there having a lot of fun. We have beer and wine that's served that night. We have a lot of food that is donated.
You can drink at the library, too?
You can drink.
You heard it here, folks.
You can drink at the library at the For the Love of the Library event. We get our special permit from the city. Thank you to the city of Annapolis for that. We appreciate that. But the food, it comes from Carroll's Creek, Annapolis Smokehouse, Paul's Homewood Cafe, Main and Market, Boatyard Bar and Grill, Gump's, and many more
restaurants. So you got the A-list people there.
We've got some great food. I mean, it's really a lot of fun. It goes from 6:30 to 8:30 on a Friday evening, April the 20th.
And it's a fundraiser, though, right? So I mean,
it's a fundraiser.
Auction and
there's a silent auction. I don't know. There's all kinds of fun stuff that you have. There's a silent auction. I think there's a live auction as well. So it's just a fantastic event, and I encourage anybody to come on over.
April 20th at the Eastport branch of the library, which is right there on Hillsmere Drive.
Yes.
Down in the Annapolis neck.
Yes.
Now, You've got how many branches? 15?
We have 15 libraries throughout the county. That's right. The Discoveries will be the 16th library.
Okay.
So, yeah, we range from Brooklyn Park, really near the border with Baltimore City. We have Odenton, Crofton, Maryland City, kind of on the west side. We have Deal in the south, along with Edgewater in the southern end. We go east over to the Broadneck, Severna Park, Mountain Road, Riviera Beach. So really there's libraries throughout Anne Arundel County. We are hoping to get funding this coming year for a new Glen Burnie library. The facilities plan that I mentioned before indicated that really we needed 2 new libraries up in that area. That serves double the number of people that are served at the Annapolis Library.
Sure, that's the population center really of the...
Yeah, Glen Burnie is just a tremendously densely populated area. That library was opened in 1969, so it's really next on the list to get replaced, and we're hoping that the county executive and council will fund that.
What's your most newest library? Obviously, Annapolis will be when it's completed.
Yes. Odenton and Crofton were the 2 libraries opened about 15 or 18 years ago. 2002 is when Crofton opened. 2004 is when Odenton opened. So we had entered the internet age, but kind of just barely. We hadn't really gotten into the age of real modern libraries where there's such gathering places and community hubs. So Annapolis will be the first of the new, really 21st century libraries.
That's been 15 years since.
Yeah.
It'll be 15 years coming.
Yeah.
And they really have turned into a community hub. I know that we've actually recorded a couple podcasts down at the Deal Library because places are few and far between.
Yeah.
To find a place to meet somebody there. We talked with some students that had graduated and had a
nice
first student that was first in his family to go to college. He's going to Penn State.
Wow.
And
that's
he had
fantastic.
run 2 businesses in South County to raise money to help pay his way to, and it was just a phenomenal story about the successes that he had at Anne Arundel County Public Schools. He was a lifer. He came from kindergarten all the way through
the school
senior.
system.
And we ended up at the Deal Library, which is just a great small community library. But you sat there and you saw, the parents reading to their kids. You saw people meeting, and we barged in without an appointment or anything like that.
So did you meet right out in the open, or did you have
we got a room.
The meeting room?
The librarian was kind enough to give us a room.
Oh, that's good.
We may have told her that we were a nonprofit because we haven't made any profit, so we didn't technically lie. So that was but we, for 45 minutes we dropped in, and it was just great. And I keep getting amazed at what keeps being thrown at me and thrown at people is that the library has.
Yeah. Well, I would suggest to anybody, especially if you haven't been in a library in the last few years, just go find a place to sit down and just watch people. It's a great place to watch people. You see, we're a part of the community. A lot of people call us the great equalizer because you have people from all walks of life. You have people who cannot afford a computer or they can't afford internet access.
Right.
You have people who can afford just about anything, and they're there. So you really have from the affluent people of your community, middle class, lower income. You just have everyone, every race, everyone.
I know I've used the internet a couple times. I've not been able to, whether I had something to update real quick, I'll pop in and do it there. And the amazing thing, too, is that the cost on the library card is incredibly affordable. And literally, it's affordable to everybody.
Yes. Yeah, we don't charge for the library card.
So everybody does have the access to this. I mean, you do have to be an Anne Arundel County resident, correct?
Actually, you have to be a Maryland resident.
Okay.
And as a Maryland resident, you can get a library card in any county or the city of Baltimore, and you can check materials out from any library and return it anywhere else. So just for example, let's say it's this coming summer, it's 2-3 months from now, you're down at Ocean City and you forgot to check out a book to take with you to the beach. You can check it out from the Ocean City Library, and you can read it all. You can finish reading it when you get back home and turn it into one of our libraries.
Wow.
It's a great system, and not many people know about that.
Okay, so this is actually then almost a state system, independently funded but branded differently for every...
Yeah. Each library system is its own library system, but we are extremely well networked and supported at the state level.
How do books get from one place to another? Obviously, in the county, you've got vans and cars that'll drive from one branch to the other if somebody has a book on reserve. But when I return my book to Ocean City because I've forgot to return it.
Yeah. So for the broad system of the statewide system, they also have delivery vans that operate. They go to Western Maryland, they go to Eastern Shore, Southern Maryland, and all the systems. So there's a very interconnected delivery system that operates daily, if not weekly. In our system, it's our delivery drivers. We have 3 people who run 3 trucks all around the county every single day of the week. Well, let's say not on Saturday and Sunday usually,
right?
But basically they're picking up and moving books all around. That's one of the best things about a library system is that you can. First of all, if it's not, it doesn't have to be on the shelf at the library where you are. You can go to our website, get onto the catalog, find what you want, order it, and just have it delivered to the most convenient library. And that might be convenient to your home, or it might be convenient to your work, that kind of thing.
Or to Aunt Mary's. Do you guys share inventory with other libraries in the state? I mean,
yes. There's a system called Marina that allows every individual can find books through the Marina system. So, for example, say you're on our website. I've done this even last week. And there's a book that maybe is a little obscure that your library doesn't have. You then can switch right in and go into the Marina system, and you can see if there's a library anywhere in the state of Maryland. And usually there is. And frankly, if we don't have it anywhere in Maryland, you can place a request through Interlibrary Loan Service. We can get books from anywhere in the country. So really, the public library is in many ways the university of the people. So anybody who wants to pursue research interests in depth, or just wants on a whim to check out some book that they heard about or that kind of thing, you can get to it from your local library. We're a place that provides that kind of access.
You guys are like the World Wide Web. I mean, honestly, when you think about it, it's we if I need some information from a server way across the country, I can do that, and I can go through my local place, and they can get it and bring it back to me, which is amazing.
Yeah, I think that's a good analogy. The World Wide Web is the electronic version of what libraries have been for centuries, really, and we're still there as a web, an interconnected web, connecting people to knowledge and information and allowing people that kind of access. I think the thing about the modern library world is that we also are a very local community gathering place, a place where you can learn things not just from printed or printed materials or DVDs or all of that kind of stuff, but you can learn from one another. Community groups can come in and have programs. Speakers can come in. So we have all kinds of programming. We have book discussion groups. We have film club kinds of things. So I would highly recommend that either from our website or in any one of our libraries, you go for the Happenings newsletter that we put out every quarter. So Happenings is just chock full of lists of programs. And people may say, oh yeah, I've seen that. But every single time, there's just a tremendous amount of information. About 1,000 programs are listed there, and it comes out 4 times a year. You'll find information about the Library Foundation. You'll find information about just every kind of programming.
Is that mailed?
It's not mailed.
Okay.
This one you have to go to the library to pick up the physical copy, but it is on the website, so you can find it right on the website. And if you're having any trouble using the website or anything, you can call us, and our staff member will help with it. John, I want to mention another thing that's a really new idea that's going to come up at the Odenton Library. I think it's in August. It's called the Human Library. And we're actually seeking people to be part of it. You can come to the library. It's going to be I think it's from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. or 10 to 3 or something like that. You can check out a human book.
A human book?
A human book.
What's a human book?
So actually, you and I could be a human book because every person is unique and individual and has a story to tell. And so with this concept, it started, I think it was in Denmark. Libraries started checking out people to basically have a discussion. Let's just say, you haven't really had good friends who are African American. Or let's say you are African American and you haven't had good friends who are Caucasian or stuff like that. You can check out a book that way. You can check out let's say a storyteller. You can check out a police officer. you can check out. Basically, you enter this by identifying that, well, I want to offer to be a book, and it's because of your unique interest. Maybe you haven't ever met a podcaster, for example, or that kind of thing. We'll have. We don't know how many we're going to have yet. I think we've set a certain number. But you go to the library, you'll get a 30-minute time with this human book. You can check out as many as you can fit in.
You just ask your questions, have the conversation, or whatever.
Yeah, you get 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes, and you spend time, and you just get to know this person, and you basically are getting together with somebody, having a one-on-one conversation, learning about somebody who you just have, you've maybe read about. A person of a different...
And that happens right in the library? I mean, in the meeting room, or in...
I think it'll be set up in the meeting room in different stations. And to tell you the truth, I'm not quite sure how it's going to work. This is the first time we've done it. I think we're the first library in Maryland to do it.
That's fascinating.
Yeah, so stay tuned for that one. That's going to be really interesting. And so anybody listening to this wanting to know about the Human Book project that we're doing, just call one of the libraries or ask us, and we'll get you to the right person to really learn more about it and to offer yourself as a human book, or to plan to come out on that day and do something.
I got a great book for you. I'll have to connect you to it. A guy named Mr. Keys, who is a substitute teacher or he used to be, I don't know whether he still is, down at South River. He is a World War II vet. He was one of the few African Americans that helped liberate some of the smaller concentration camps, and he's collected a lifetime of museums in his home down here in Annapolis, and we talked to him on Veterans Day a couple of years ago.
I'd love to have Mr. Keys be part of our human library.
Yeah, I mean he's just one of the most fascinating guys I've ever met, and he's despite being, I'm guessing, 90 something or other, he's got more spring in his step than than anybody.
No, he would be tremendous to it. I know my father was in World War II, and that generation, they have stories, and his stories would be tremendous. I would love to.
It is. My father was in the Pacific, and he's 93, and I'm hopefully going to be going down to see him in a couple of weeks, and
nice.
I'm hopefully going to record some of the stuff, because he repressed a lot of it for years and years, and now that he's old and cranky, he's willing to talk. So
if he wants to be part of our human library, tell him about it.
I will mention it to him. He's down in Florida, so he's not too mobile.
He's
now
not going to come up here.
But that's where,
I hear you.
That's where you go.
Well, maybe Mr. Keys will come
in Florida, but it's just again the things that are available at the library, the meetings,
Well, let me tell you one other thing that's just about to be brought into the libraries. Eastport Library is going to start checking out Wi-Fi hotspots, and you may have noticed on your internet bill that you can get, or maybe talking to the Verizon people or somebody else, that you can get a Wi-Fi hotspot. But there are a lot of people who, for example, have homework assignments requiring internet access.
Sure.
These families that don't have the internet at home, a lot of them are coming to the libraries and using the library there. But maybe they do have a smartphone with internet access, but they don't have a lot of the data plan. So you can check out the Wi-Fi hotspot for a week at a time. Take it home. It'll allow you to connect up to 15 different devices, so everybody in the family can be connected to high-speed internet access through the Wi-Fi hotspot that you can check out at the library. That'll be debuting really in a few weeks from
Eastport. Those are the little hockey puck looking.
They've got about the size of a hockey puck.
You can connect up to 15 devices. Is there a cost on that?
Well, there's a cost to the library, but it's not charged to the customer. So, libraries are pretty much free. We try to maintain our services for free. So, again, it's tax supported. But in this case, we actually received a special donation through the Library Foundation. We received a special grant of $10,000 that's allowing us to purchase the data plans. It's for about 20 or 25 devices that we'll be able to have for up to a year. So we're using this as a pilot project to see how interested people are, how much it's used, and that kind of thing. But we think it's going to be a tremendously valuable service.
Oh, I really do. I mean, I can think of a million things. I mean, right away I'm thinking of a class project or something where students need to work together and collaborate online?
Yeah, there's different ways. I mean, we thought of it primarily as going into home situations, but let's just say that there's a neighborhood where you have, several families that don't really have internet access. Yeah, they can get together at one of the homes and that kind of thing. This particular grant came from the Helena Foundation, and it's something that the Helena Foundation is very happy to be supporting and very interested in, and so we were very happy to get that.
Is that
grant.
A local type of foundation, or is that a national?
It is. It's actually a foundation run by Jim and Sylvia Earle, and they have been able to make that available. A lot of people know the Earles, and we're just waiting to see how it works. We are confident it's going to be very valuable to people, and so we're looking forward to seeing how that's going to work. But again, it's an example of another type of thing that libraries are involved in to try to make people's lives better and easier and more productive and that kind of thing. There's just so many things that we're trying to do to be community-oriented, to just basically improve the quality of life, the ability of people to achieve what they want to fulfill themselves, to help out family members, all of that kind of thing.
Well, I know another thing, too, that a lot of people I don't know that they know about is that you will deliver books, too. You don't need to go to the library. I mean, you should be. Yes. You shouldn't be abusing it. I mean, if I broke my leg.
Yes, we do have a books by mail program. And so, yes, if you have, let's just say, for example, you have a family member who can no longer go to the library and you can't really get there for them. We have a books by mail service. This is the kind of thing to ask at the library, ask about how can I get my family member into this program. Or if you're listening to this, call us, and if you yourself, maybe you don't have a family member in the area and you're looking to be able to get back to books. Another thing just to mention, if you are visually impaired, we have a lot of access in our libraries through a special computer that's easy to adjust to
with the contrast and the sizes.
All of that kind of thing, yes. And we also have access to the Library for the Blind and Physically Handicapped that's in Baltimore. So I think there are a number of people that are served by that library. But we work in conjunction with them, and there's a new deaf culture digital library that is being developed for people who are hearing impaired. So again, what we are providing is so valuable. We want to try to make sure that everybody, no matter who you are, no matter what types of disabilities you might be faced with, you have access to all the riches that we're trying to make available. What's on the horizon for the library? What are the cool new things that you're considering that may or may not come to fruition? I mean, I don't think you're looking to build... Are you looking to build a new library? I know you're looking to obviously renovate. Well, the facilities plan that we just completed, we worked with MGT, the company that consulted with the school system a couple of years back. That plan really is showing us that we should build 2 new libraries in the Glen Burnie area. So those are the big things. I think that the library in Glen Burnie, it may be about as large as the Odenton Library, which is a bit larger than the Annapolis Library. It'll be somewhere between 32. Right now, the Odenton Library is the largest in the system, right? Yes, it is. It's around 39,000 square feet. The new Annapolis Library will be 32,500. So really, somewhere in that range is the new Glen Burnie. The other one will be kind of in the Millersville area or Crownsville. We're actually calling it the Mid-County Library. So we're hoping possibly to find space at the Old Mill School complex or the Papa John Farm, where I think the schools are going to be using those 2 parcels or those two plots of land. And one of those might also accommodate that second library. That's right in the heart of where we're looking to have that second library that would replace the one serving all those Glen Burnie people. So those things are on the horizon. I should mention that the county executive and county council funded an increase to our materials budget. It's been phased in over 3 years. So when you say materials, is that books? Materials is all the books, the databases, the DVDs, all of the things that we provide, basically why people use the library primarily.
Content to the users.
Content. Well, when I first got here in 2010, the budget had been cut severely. I mentioned the staff went through 4 years of real difficult cuts to salaries and all that. But the materials budget had been cut down from $3 million down to $2 million. So maybe after the recession, about 2 or 3 years after the recession, that got restored to the $3 million. But in the past 3 years, the county executive and council have funded an increase up to $4 million. So when you talk about what's on the horizon, really a lot more of what people want and need from the library is going to be in the libraries. Our stock of our book stock, our stock of everything is just going to be increasing. We're much better able to provide all those kinds of things. We're not quite where some of our peer libraries in Maryland are in terms of our materials budget per capita, but this really has been a huge shot in the arm, and it's going to benefit our community for years and years to come.
Any new services that are in the library world that are out there that maybe in Denmark or in...
Well, this is I don't know about if Denmark has done this yet, but I've talked about a few things. Glen Burnie Library is soon going to start loaning ukuleles.
Okay.
So...
I didn't see that one coming.
Well, we started fishing pole lending out at Mountain Road Library a couple of years ago.
Sure, big ukulele. Neat.
It's a fun thing, and you maybe hadn't thought about it, but there's a lot of people who maybe wanted to play an instrument. We've used ukuleles quite a bit in our programming in recent years. A number of our staff will use them for either children's programs or other programs. I was actually at Brooklyn Park Library and I just got the tail end of a program where our multicultural specialist was there, and she does programs in Spanish and English, but she uses a ukulele at her programs. She sometimes actually uses a guitar, but we're not loaning guitars yet.
How can people that are listening to this help the library? I mean, okay, you mentioned the foundation, and obviously they can write a check and it would be gladly accepted to the Anne Arundel County Public Library Foundation. Can they volunteer at the library? Obviously using the library is helpful to the library.
Well, I think I would, first of all, yes, I would kind of turn your question around. We're really here to help out everybody listening. So if you haven't used the library lately, we're here for you. And don't just take us for granted that we'll always be here. We really have so much that you might be able to use that you hadn't thought of. So explore us. Explore our happenings newsletter, come in and see us, come look around. All those things are valuable. Yes, we have more than 500 people who volunteer in our 15 libraries, plus at our headquarters operation. So we are always on the lookout for volunteers. Let's just say you're in school. You're maybe in middle school or high school, and you're planning your summer. We have a teen volunteer program. We have jobs for teenagers, so they're not exclusively for teenagers. But let's just say you have an opportunity to work in the library, shelving books and that kind of thing, and maybe you would want to even consider a career in libraries. Libraries are very viable, valuable community institutions. So that's something that you or some of the younger people in your family might be interested in. You mentioned the foundation. We don't want people just to write a check to the foundation. We call our event on April 20th For the Love of the Library because we're really trying to nurture those great feelings people have about their libraries. We know that everybody has a library story. It maybe it's the first library they ever went to, and everybody kind of remembers that, or they remember great experiences. Actually, sometimes you remember not so great experiences, but you remember being in the library because libraries are so special for people. So I would encourage people to come to For the Love of the Library, 6:30 to 8:30 on April the 20th. That's right.
That's the right thing, isn't it? I think
April 22nd is
22nd.
Yeah.
I know it's right around.
It's right there. Yeah, that's good.
That's right around. One other quick question: are you connected with university libraries?
We are through interlibrary loan. I think we're all very interconnected that way. We work with WorldCat, which is a catalog of basically the holdings of all the libraries, for the most part, in the world. But we don't have a strong connection that way. Now, I will say that Anne Arundel Community College and our library system are very closely connected and aligned. The Gold Star collection that has been housed for many years at the Annapolis Library. Right now, you can go to the Truxell Library over at the Community College, and the Gold Star collection is over there. And that actually has a lot of resources people would be interested in. I think that's Annapolis, Anne Arundel history, and I think people would find a lot of very interesting stuff there. But as far as direct connections there, we have an even stronger connection with the public school system here. We do connect with the private school and the homeschool community too. But for the public schools, we about 2 years ago provided sale library cards for every one of the 82,000 students in the public school system. And those are fine-free cards. You can check out up to 3 items. You will never have to pay a fine on it. You do need to return them eventually.
Sure.
But that's to make sure that every student in the school system has access. A lot of times we find that for one reason or another, a family might have kind of burned through all of their library card usage by racking up heavy fines and that kind of thing. It makes it difficult. I think one of the most tragic things that I ever see is, people come into the library with their kids and the parent saying, you can only check out one book because there's so many fines, we can't afford the possibility that you're going to rack up fines, because there's a lot of people who just can't afford that $3, $4, $5 that might rack up on fines. And the next person coming through the line has 20, 30 picture books for their kids because those fines aren't an issue. So that's really tragic when you think of it. And so the sale cards kind of work around that problem and allow every single person, no matter what their income, no matter whether they've racked up fines on their regular card, it gets them really good access to the library.
Fantastic. And that's only available to students, though, right?
That's for students, yes.
Well, there goes my thought.
Yeah.
Back to writing the check for the $50 there.
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you very much for coming out. I think everybody does need to go to aacpl.net and plan to spend an awful lot of time there, because it's going to take an awful lot of time to figure out and look and see exactly everything that the library does offer. Get down to it. Look for some notice on the raising of the Annapolis Library on the 31st.
Yes.
That should be interesting. And go to the mall. And I never thought I'd ever say that, but go to the mall and check out Discovery. And over at Monarch Academy on Gibraltar Avenue to find out what the new temporary library is. The Annapolis Library will be opening in 2019 late?
We expect in late 2019
Fingers crossed.
Or early 2020 we will be reopening. So we close March 31st. We'll have that ceremony to raise it to the ground sometime later, but then we will be reopening.
Fantastic. I can't wait. Congratulations on finally getting the Annapolis Library up off the thing, and I know you've got Glen Burnie, and hopefully, fingers crossed that we're able to find the funding and get the support to get those ones, the other additional ones that are needed there. I can't wait to hear what 2018 sort of holds as what the library puts out.
Thanks so much,
new
John.
Cool stuff.
Thanks so much. I look forward to coming back.
This has been the Maryland Crabs Podcast with Tim Hamilton and John Fernay. Sure to follow them in all the regular places, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and online at themarylandcrabs.com. Take a moment to rate us on iTunes. Now, get the hell out of my kitchen. Seriously, go!
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.